Hey guys, Sam from Manfa's Makes. How are you all? Welcome back to all my returners and hi to any newbies. It's so great to have you here. Please do stick around a while, and if you like what you see, give me a thumbie. They are free. So I have hopped on today to do something slightly different. I believe I have one other video similar to this, but I haven't actually done a lot of it. And I thought that it could be just a little bit of something different for you guys to watch today. So I hope you have been having a wonderful weekend. I know that I am. When you are watching this, you will see this on Sunday and I will be at work. So I am pre-recording, but I just thought it might be of interest. Now, as you can see in front of you, here is some of the yarn that I got in yesterday's yarn haul video. It is the Papatya Mouline Chunky. And there will be lighting issues. I do apologise, but this setup is not ideal, but I'm doing the best that I can, guys. Okay, so this is made in Turkey. It is colour 5174. It has the Ecotex standard there. And then here are the details. It is 100 grams or 3.5 ounces, 160 meters or 174 yards. It is 100% acrylic, machine washable. There are free patterns if you use that QR code, so I will leave that there for you if you want to take a look at what the free patterns are. And then here on the side are the other specs. So it is a medium weight number 4. They recommend a 6 to 7 millimeter knitting needle and a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. My camera is struggling to focus. There we go. You can wash up to 30 degrees Celsius, do not bleach, do not tumble, do not iron. And I believe that is lay flat to dry, but do not quote me on it. That is a symbol I haven't seen before. Okay, so like I said, colour 5174. And I just thought, because this is a yarn that I got from the Knitting Network here in the UK, don't be put off, guys, because they do ship internationally. Worldwide, I believe, so you can get your hands on some if you like it. I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see it worked up in swatches or samples. Now, I really enjoy watching other content creators do swatches and samples because if I am interested in the yarn, I like to see how it looks actually worked up, because in the ball it is absolutely gorgeous. Now, bearing in mind, my camera is rubbish for colours, but you can still see that there are a lovely myriad of colours in this, and it is a marled. It is marled with either a purple or a blue throughout. This looks like a navy blue. It's not. It's more of a royal purple. So there's royal purple twists in there, there's a lighter blue, a darker blue and a paler purple as well. And it goes throughout the skein. And as you can see, there are blues, purples, pinks, oranges, yellows, greens. It is absolutely gorgeous and it just continues in throughout the ball as well. Now remember, this is a 4 weight. Now, I haven't actually used the recommended sizes because, and I will explain a bit more in a second, and there will be a little bit of a surprise in this video, guys. I am not talking about a giveaway. Do not get excited because this yarn is earmarked for a project, but I have done something that you may not expect from this video. Anyway, let's have a look at the crochet sample a minute. So I will put that there so that you can see what it is we are talking about. Okay, so here is my swatch or sample, and I'm still attached because I will be frogging it because, like I said, the yarn is earmarked for a project. Now, Here is what the crochet sample looks like. As you can see, that mould goes throughout this swatch and throughout this yarn. Now at the bottom I have done 4 rows of single crochet. I have then worked up to 4 rows of half double crochet. I have then done 4 rows of double crochet, and then I have done a row of popcorns, well 2 rows, just to see if they are visible, so that you know what the basic stitches look like in this yarn, and you know what some of the more complex stitches are. And guys, if you have been here a while, you will know that bobbles, popcorns, puffs, all of those are not stitches I particularly enjoy, but for the purposes of this swatch or sample, I thought it was important to show you. Now it does get a little bit lost in the busyness of the yarn, but you can clearly see that there is a raised textured stitch in this. I really enjoyed working it up. I used a 5mm hook. I used my 5mm Clover and More, if I can get my camera to focus. There we go, 5mm Clover, and it recommended a 5.5 on the ball band. So this fabric using a 5 is very dense, and I am a super tight crocheter as well, guys. So this may not have been the correct way to do this sample or swatch. However, there is a reason for it. Now, the yarn isn't the most softest worked up in a tight, dense fabric, but it is lovely when you use the recommended hook size. When it's got a little bit more ease and a little bit more drape, it does feel nice. And I think once it's had a wash as well, it will soften up lovely. It is 100% acrylic, and it is absolutely gorgeous. The colours are amazing. Now, as you can see, the colour changes are quite abrupt, and it would be very difficult to colour control this yarn. But what is lovely about it is because every colour is marled with a second colour, it brings in continuity throughout your work. Now obviously I didn't do a sample where all the colours went through because I simply didn't have time. I needed to get this video out. But I do love the look that it gives, and I have seen so many people deliberately hold 2 colour yarns together to make scrappy blankets, scrappy baskets, scrappy rugs. It is a very, very lovely, lovely look for me. That is my opinion. But it does it all for you. It just does it in the yarn. So that is the crochet swatch. Now you're probably wondering, well, what's the surprise, Manfa? Well, I am renowned on this channel for telling you all that I can do basic knitting, but I choose not to because for me it is much slower and it takes so much longer to get it done. I also do not enjoy the actual working of the knitting like I enjoy the crochet. So for Manfa, crochet is her first love, her first passion. But for this video, I cheated on my crochet. I was not loyal because, guys, I did knit a sample for you as well. Now, I did the stockinette stitch, which if you're unfamiliar with knitting, you knit one way and then you purl the next. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and you will get what I call the traditional knitted look in your piece. Now again, I did not do a swatch to try and get all of the colours in this sample. I would have been there even longer than the crochet sample. This knit sample took me 4 attempts because it has been so long since I picked up my knitting needles. I had to frog it 3 times to figure out what I was actually doing again, because I had to totally refresh myself. It has been years since I picked up knitting needles. And because I never really took knitting up, I am very limited as to how many knitting needles I have. And the biggest knitting needles I had were a 5mm. So for the purposes of this video, I used my 5mm knitting needle and my 5mm crochet hook, just to give you a difference and a comparison. Now, I would always recommend that you look at the recommended hook and needle size on your yarn labels, but there is freedom for you. You know how you knit or crochet, you know what your tension is like, and you know what the fabric roughly will look like by using what you are comfortable with. Now for me, the knit sample is so much more pliable, so much more drapey, and it is still quite a dense fabric, guys, but it feels softer in the knitted sample than it does the crochet. So for the crochet sample, I would probably have to go up to a 6 or a 6.5 because of my tight tension, to get a bit more of a drapey fabric. And for my knitting, I would again go up, because however much this is softer, less dense and a little bit more pliable, it is still super tight. I am tight with my crochet. I am even tighter tension with my knitting. Now, you won't see a lot of knitting on this channel, but when it comes to swatches and samples, I am prepared to do it for you, because for the bi-stitchual people out there, it is interesting for them to see the same yarn worked up in 2 different crafts, because it may give them an even better understanding of how the yarn plays out. Now let me bring my crochet sample back in next to it. Now, as you can see, the knit sample, and stockinette always wants to curl, guys, so apologies about that. I'll try and flatten it a little bit for you. This is 15 stitches across. This is also 15 stitches across. So as you can see, there is a massive size difference, even though they are both 5mm tools. You use a lot less yarn with knitting than you do with crochet, and with crochet it grows so much quicker with the bigger stitches used that actually there are not as many rows in the crochet as there are in the knitting, but the stitches are bigger, therefore the piece is bigger. There are so many more rows in this one, but because the stitches are much smaller, it's a smaller sample, although they are both 15 stitches wide. Now, as you can see, with the stockinette stitch, the striping lasts longer. I only actually got 2 colours in this knitting sample, whereas with this crocheted sample, I got at least 3 different colours. There are variations in this pinky red and there are variations in the orange, but for argument's sake, we will say that I got 3 different stripes. This one I only got 2. So knitters will always get more bang for their buck because they have such smaller condensed stitches than what crochet does, and they actually have a similar look but also quite a different look at the same time. So I absolutely loved doing this for you to see the difference. I hope it has helped both knitters and crocheters to see how this gorgeous yarn works up. I wish I had the time to get all of the colours into these samples, but also I'm on a little bit of a time crunch because this yarn is earmarked for something that I have to get done by the end of September. By the time you are watching this, it is already the 3rd of September. So I need to get my yarn back from the samples. I need to frog this and I need to work it up into what it's going to be. So guys, did you ever think Manfa would show knitting on her channel? I bet you didn't. But I do think it is really interesting to see the yarn in both different crafts. I think it's beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. Now with the knitting, because I'm using straight metal needles, it did split for me. But I think that is because I am not a regular knitting person. It's been such a long time since I've done knitting that I was clumsy, I was fumbling, and it was a little frustrating in parts until I got into my rhythm. So I actually think that it is user error when it comes to the splitting. There wasn't hardly any splitting with the crochet. So you guys make up your own minds. But I really, really love this. I am so glad that I bought this beautiful yarn. And it just looks so different worked up to what it does in the skein. So guys, let me know down in the comments, would you like to see more of these swatch/sample videos? And if you do, maybe give me some suggestions of what yarns you would like to see in this format. I really love seeing how yarn plays out, how it works up and what it looks like in a fabric. So if there are any yarns that you would like me to do this for, bearing in mind guys that I am in the UK and I can only use yarns that I've already got in my stash or new yarns that I buy in from time to time. You guys have seen my yarn wall, you know what is behind me to a point, but if there is anything you would like to see, put it down in the comments, and if I am able, if I physically have the yarn, I will eventually do this for you so that you can have this gorgeous comparison between knit and crochet using the same yarn. Anyway guys, I hope this has been a little bit educational. I hope it's been enjoyable. I hope it has been helpful and maybe a little bit inspirational. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this, please, please, please let me know. I don't want to be putting content on this channel that you guys are not interested in. I want you guys to come back and keep watching my content, and I want it to be helpful, useful, or enjoyable to you, or all of the above. So I need your feedback on this, guys. I would really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave your thummies. They are super important. And don't forget that there is daily content here at Manfa's Makes. I really appreciate the time that you give me. Tomorrow will be Monday, and there will be a Magazine Monday episode for you. So please come back tomorrow and have a look at that with me. But until then, stay safe, be kind, look after one another, get some good quality time in with your loved ones, and get some good quality crafting time in. I will see you in the next one or around the YouTube streets. Bye guys, love you loads.